How many times you bought something and you got to resent your purchase? Maybe you were pressured into it, which is an example of scarcity. Or maybe you bought it from somebody that you really liked, even though you met him or her 10 minutes ago. That's an example of liking a person too much in action. And those are all principles that are in this book that we're discussing today, which is Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion by Cialdini. And it's a great read if you want to understand the marketers, if you want to have this distinction between honest marketers and simple conmen. And I will discuss, out of the 6 weapons of influence that Cialdini names in his book, the top 3 most powerful influence tools. So what's neat for you? You will learn to be more persuasive. You will learn how to influence people more, especially if you're in a job where you have to talk to people. Maybe they have to do certain tasks for you. You will learn how to speak to them so that you will increase the chance of them doing what you actually want. But I will start by saying what the 6 weapons of influence are, which are consistency, reciprocation, social proof, authority, liking, and scarcity. And out of those 6, I believe the most powerful one is consistency. And that's a fascinating principle, because once you agree that you are in a certain way, or that you love certain things, or that you support certain causes, for example, once you agree to somebody that you're a person who is green, who loves nature, who loves saving the planet, then if they ask for a donation for, let's say, helping the pandas not go extinct, you will be 1,000 times more likely to support that cause, just because you want to be consistent. You want people to perceive you as a person that acts in a consistent manner, and that's because inherently we tend to trust those people more. This is a very old connection that we created because we needed this kind of trust to be able to function as a society. So what we did, we started to act in consistent manners so that people will know what to expect from us. This kind of developed into what we now perceive that a person with consistency is smarter, it's braver, he speaks up, and we have all those positive associations. They seem to us like more intelligent, a person who has their life together, a person who knows their stuff. So with all those positive things, we also associated negative things to people who change their mind. We tend to not trust them. We tend to say that they really don't know what they want from life. And we tend to stay away from them, which in most of the cases, that's fair, that's true, because what we do with those associations, those are actual shortcuts. Because life is so complicated, we need those shortcuts in order to be able to quickly act to certain situations. So that's one of the reasons why we have these coping mechanisms. We want to trust people, we want to ensure some sort of automation in our lives. So once somebody makes us agree with something, with a certain way that we are, we foolishly try to stay consistent, even though we know that maybe that's not our person. We feel guilt, we're feeling ashamed to change our minds. And we will try to do some mental gymnastics to lie to ourselves just in order to stay consistent. And I've seen this in so many instances with salesmen that are trying to tell you that you're a certain way. So once you are saying yes to certain cues from their language, then it will be incredibly hard to eventually get to say no when they're trying to sell you something. Probably the most important part of consistency is to go on record. So there are 3 ways in which you can agree to something. You can verbally agree, which is the weakest way. You can agree in writing, which is powerful, to be fair, because you took some action, you spent some energy to write it down. And then the third one would be to share it with other people, okay? So that's the most powerful weapon. Once you shared something, for example, I want to lose weight. If you share this with other people, then you will be more inclined to actually do something to lose weight. And this is one thing that you can positively use to form proper habits. So if you want to lose weight, share with people that you don't want to disappoint, okay? Because you will start being consistent with that. So I should probably share it with more people because, yeah, chubby cheeks. Another very important idea is the death by 1,000 concessions or by 1,000 cuts. And in this principle, you are actually agreeing to small things or small purchases. And salesmen know this. They will try to make you buy something really, really tiny, and you will eventually agree to buy something way bigger. Because if you're testing one of their products, you find that it works, it's alright, then you will be more inclined to buy one of their more expensive products. And I'm really not doing this rule justice because it's so powerful. For example, a way that salesmen make the likelihood of returning something much lower is by them letting the prospect fill in the form themselves. So this is incredibly mind-blowing. If you fill a form or if you fill a petition, you are more likely to then never go back on your word. So actually, Cialdini recommends never sign on anything, never complete the forms. Let the salesman do it if you want to, but don't do it yourself, because then you'll try to stay consistent. And there are two types of pressure when you're trying to stay consistent. One is internal. You want to be consistent with your values, with your actions, because everybody knows that a person is kind of defined by their actions, by what they do, not necessarily by what they say. So that's a way in which we perceive ourselves. We try to find our own values by the way that we act. So there is an internal pressure to stay consistent, but there is also the external pressure to save face, because that's the way to put it. You want to save face in front of people no matter what. You want people to think that you are smarter, you are nicer, you are more intelligent, you are more well-spoken than you are in reality. You just want people to perceive you better because you are social creatures, and you will forever be social creatures. For us, but social ladders are something that we clearly aim towards, we clearly need. And it's so deeply ingrained to us that we go to high lengths to just save face. To wrap this one up, commitments or consistency is the most powerful if three things are in place. So the commitment must be active, okay? You must do something in order to commit. Then the commitment must be public. You shared it with somebody, people know about your plans. And the third one, the most important one, it has to be effortful. The most effort that you put into something, the more committed you will feel. So that's something that has been happening through initiation rituals, through all kind of very tough challenges that you have to overcome in order to get something. So if you spend the most effort to get something, you will value it much more. The more effort that you spend, the more you will value in relationship to its true value. So you just got to get this knowledge, and that's it. It's the best way of combating this law, just by knowing that this can happen. The second most powerful rule gets this silver medal, not because it is complete or not because it is complex, but because it happens all the time. So this is the liking rule. And I would also recommend you read the social proof rule. That's very closely related to this one. But liking is a rule of influence that we tend to underestimate. This is why it's so powerful. We tend to underestimate how much we like a person. We tend to underestimate how likely we are to agree to their request if we like them. And there are 5 types of liking that are very important to discuss. And those are physical attractiveness. People will tend to comply much more with the request of a very attractive person. You've seen this over and over. Like, I don't even need to give you examples, and I won't because we're kind of short on time. Physical attractiveness sells, like everybody knows that. But it's so much powerful than you think. And that's why I wanted to discuss this. Because people tend to underestimate by a large margin the way in which they're influenced by physical attractiveness. Especially men. Men tend to do that. So yeah, take this with a pinch of salt, but also be very wary when somebody's trying to, sell you something and you want to buy it just because you think that person is cute. Yeah, that's just the way it is. The second thing is the similarity. If you're very similar to myself, you are more likely to watch those videos. 100% of my viewers in the last days were between the age of 25 and 34, which is my age group. So again, similarity at play. You tend to enjoy the company or to buy from people who are very similar to you. The third thing is compliments. And this is again where men fail. We tend to be much more weak to compliments. So if somebody compliments you without a good reason, maybe be wary of that. Then we've got contact and cooperation. And this is a very interesting rule because it's kind of about the frequency of the times that you see a person. If you see a person much more, you will start liking them much more. And that goes with commercials. That's why you see certain faces over and over in commercials for some brands, because they want you to become familiar with them. And by the way, this also happens not necessarily only with people, but with brands. It's brand recognition, brand name, and you have a certain association with that brand, and you instantly think of it just when you hear about the name or you see the logo over and over again. So that's one way in which you can be persuaded to buy something. And the last one is conditioning and association. So people are trying to associate with things that will increase their value, that will increase that worth, that will try to make them better. And yeah, what can I say? It's a tactic that's very well known, especially in this online space. You will see people who are trying to show up with Lambos, with rented planes, in rented mansions, and that's just how they will seem like they are legit. I hate this term, but that's a good way in which they're showing you that they're living the lifestyle that you might want, and you associate them with the car that they're driving, or with the plane that they're sitting next to, or the condo that they have, and you instantly think that that person must know something that you don't. And when you feel like it, it's better to just take a step back and maybe read the reviews on the internet. Just Google their name and read the reviews, and you will most likely decide not to buy their course. Okay, so this is starting to become a behemoth of a review. So I will just end with scarcity. And this is, and the reason why I want to do it is because you find this online over and over again. You find it on all the websites, on all the people that are trying to sell something to you. Again, there are three ways in which you can see if somebody tries to play this scarcity tactic on you. It's either, oh, this product is in limited edition, you will never find it again. Or it will be the limited number, which is there are only 5 products like this, and once they're out of stock, we will never produce them again. Or there are only 5 copies of this course. If you don't buy it now, then it's over. And the last tactic is the limited time, which is something along those lines of, if you don't buy it until midnight, then the price will double or the price will triple. And those are tactics that I've seen over and over again on the internet. Most of the marketers use all 3 of them together. They will claim that something is exclusive, it is a limited time offer, and they have a scarcity of the number of items. And when you find all those 3 together, or even 1 or 2 of them together, take a step back, realize, hey, that's a massive red flag, and just walk away from that tactic, because then it truly is a tactic. In very, very rare instances, scarcity is real. Even with items such as diamonds. Diamonds are not scarce, okay? And the prices of diamonds, they're artificially inflated. It's the same on the internet. Nobody can claim that they only can sell 4 instances of their course, because it's an intellectual property. It's something that has knowledge, information. It's something packaged, but it's not a physical product. So you cannot claim that you have a very limited amount of something that's not a physical product, of something that's just some IP, okay? And think of it each time when a person tries to pressure you into buying something because it's the last time when you can buy it. It probably won't be. Another way in which you can protect yourself from this rule: when somebody tries to pressure you by playing the scarcity card, you will feel agitation inside your body. You will feel some sort of rush of adrenaline. Yeah, either when you feel this kind of emotion, when you feel like you are getting worked up, when you're feeling that you are starting to become competitive, that's a great time to step back and think if that's a thing that makes the product better, or you just want the product because you don't want the other person to get it. Okay, very important. But now with this, I'm wrapping up the 3 large chapters that I discussed. Obviously I didn't cover everything, but I will highly recommend this book. And to let you on a secret, which is another technique in the book, because it shows that I'm kind of on the same team as you. So to let you on a secret, this book influenced cracked my personal top 10. And because on this channel we only discuss 3 books, I will now rate it. So in terms of the quality of the information, the book is very well researched. It always tries to use research papers, although the research papers, some of them, I think a couple were disproven, and they're quite old because the book was written a while ago. So for that, out of 3 points, it gets 2.8. On the practicality scale, it gets the same score, 2.8 out of 3, because it's pretty practical, it has stories. What it lacks, and what I loved in other books, were questions or exercises. In terms of the ease of reading it, it gets almost a perfect score, 0.9. And in terms of personal buzz, how interesting it was for me, how much I think it changed the way that I personally think or I personally perceive things, it gets a 2.4 out of 3. That's really good. It has an overall score of 8.9. And this places it on the 2nd place in terms of the books that we reviewed on this channel, but I really recommend reading it. Especially if you're a person who spends lots of time online, or if you're a person who has some money saved and who would want to invest or who would want to make some large purchases. You definitely need to read this book before buying a car, buying a house, investing into stocks, or investing in any sort of way. And it's written really well. It's really a pleasure to read, and I cannot recommend this enough. I really think that more people should read this. And with that, I'll wrap it up. It was a great pleasure to record this for you, and we will see you again soon. Bye.